Well, we've been talking about the Order of DeMolay tonight. For those of you who haven't heard the story, I'm sure almost everyone in the whole world has heard about DeMolay. This is an organization that started with one boy and his 8 friends. An organization that in one man's lifetime started from that one boy to today it is nearly 3 million young men in all of the free countries of the world. The important thing in any organization, of course, is the spark plug of the organization, the person who has the brilliant idea and follows the star. I'd like to introduce the gentleman who founded DeMolay and has been its president ever since, my very good friend, Mr. Frank Land.
A century ago, the world was rebuilding. World War I had finally ended, and nations around the globe were desperate for stability. Americans looked to each other, embracing community activism and social institutions like never before. Membership in organizations like Freemasonry soared. It was during this time, with its heightened sense of community, that a young Freemason who'd grown up without a father met a boy who lost his own the year before. Frank Sherman Land was raised by his mother and grandmother in Kansas City, Missouri. He was a born leader. At age 10, his teachers at Sunday school nicknamed him the Boy Preacher. When his family needed money, he dropped out of high school to support them. By the time he was 18, he was running the family restaurant. At 21, Land became a Mason and joined most of the Masonic organizations in Kansas City. Soon, he was working as secretary of the Scottish Rites Social Services Bureau. There, he met Louis Lauer, a 16-year-old whose father, a city alderman, had died the year before. Land hired the teenager to perform odd jobs around the Scottish Rite building, but soon saw that the boy needed more than employment. He needed the support of adult males and a wholesome environment where he could learn skills, serve his community, and have fun. Lauer brought 8 of his friends to meet Land, and together they began drawing up plans for a boys' club. They decided immediately to begin a club and started meeting weekly. It took almost a month, however, to decide on the name. When Land told them the story of Jacques DeMolay on March 18, they were immediately inspired by the story and chose him as the club's namesake. The next week, on March 24, they elected officers for the club and planned to bring more members to the first official meeting, which was held on April 1, 1919. Inspired by his experiences in Freemasonry, Land thought it was important for the young men to go through an initiatic process, using symbols and drama to make a lasting impression. He asked his friend Frank Marshall, a fellow Mason and a reporter for the Kansas City Star newspaper, to write the ritual based on the legacy of Jacques DeMolay. The first degree Marshall wrote, the initiatory degree, is a solemn ceremony in which a new member dedicates himself to DeMolay's 7 cardinal virtues, symbolized as jewels in a crown of youth: love of parents and family, reverence for sacred things, courtesy, comradeship, fidelity, cleanness, including respectfulness in thoughts, words, and deeds, and patriotism. This degree has changed little from what Marshall wrote, with the exception of reordering the cardinal virtues and expanding the description of each. The second degree, known as the DeMolay degree, is a dramatic reenactment of the trials, torture, and martyrdom of Jacques DeMolay, emphasizing the order's commitment to loyalty and secrecy. Marshall and Land, collectively and individually, wrote ritual for other occasions too, from officers' installations and special commendations to the public ceremony of light. Over the years, members of the order have contributed other ceremonies as well. A favorite is the flower talk, which memorializes the special relationship between a young man and his mother. DeMolay was immediately embraced by American society. Within 3 years of its founding, the youth order had spread to 39 of the then 48 states, and even to Canada. A few years later, it surpassed more than 1,000 active chapters in North America. By the time Frank Land passed away in 1959, he'd witnessed the order grow to a global scale. It is the beginning Land said on his deathbed. DeMolay must go on. DeMolay is open to any young man of good character who is between the ages of 12 and 21 and who acknowledges a higher spiritual power. Members of all religions are welcome. Recognizing the benefit of positive role models for younger boys, the Order of Squires for boys 9 to 11 was officially recognized in 2015. While part of the extended fraternal family, DeMolay is independent from Freemasonry. Young men do not need a Masonic relative to join, and whether or not they eventually seek membership in a Masonic lodge is a personal choice. Yet, Land wanted to ensure that as the youth order grew, it would continue to have the support of quality, community-oriented men. And so many DeMolay chapters are sponsored by Masonic organizations. They can also be sponsored by any community group or organization, provided that at least 3 members of the Advisory Council are Master Masons. These adult advisors, both men and women, Masonic and non-Masonic, are integral to the success of each chapter, but their role is in the background. DeMolay's young members lead themselves. They elect their own officers to run meetings, discuss and vote on decisions, and plan their own activities. Older members act as mentors to younger boys. In this way, the young men gain hands-on leadership experience while making lifelong friends. It's no wonder that DeMolays have gone on to become leaders across all industries and sectors of society, with alumni including Walt Disney, Walter Cronkite, John Steinbeck, and Bob Mathias. The legacy continues to grow. So far, DeMolay has enriched the lives of more than 2 million young men. DeMolay International counts approximately 15,000 young men as active members in the order, spread amongst 600 chapters in 25 countries and growing. These numbers do not include the members and chapters in 4 independent Supreme Councils: Australia, Brazil, Canada, and the Philippines. These chapters are an extended family for their young members, just as Frank Land envisioned in 1919 for a group of fatherless boys in Kansas City, Missouri. 100 years later, even as the world has changed, Dad Land's vision continues to thrive. It continues to thrive because of the strong organization he founded, the dedicated adults who continue his work, and most of all, because of the young members of DeMolay who devote themselves to virtues, leadership, and above all, each other.